All right, welcome back, Alice. Aftermath A
Hello,
versus
hello.
Aftermath B. How do you feel about this matchup?
Oh, it's gonna be good fun. I think obviously Aftermath A should be favored just because of how strong they are, especially in the last 2v2 tournament. But it
Keep
should be some great games.
just hold on for a moment. Keep in mind that Aftermath B is Hera and Leary. The story behind that
Oh,
is, yeah, it's a little confusing because Hera and Leary are the stronger team. But basically, what happened is that back when they signed up, it was still Tempo Storm for Hera and Leary, and aM.Nicov just signed up as Aftermath.
okay.
But then, Hera and Leary both left Tempo Storm, so we asked them what name they want, and they said they will be Aftermath B. They didn't want to take away the original Aftermath name from aM.Nicov, so that's why the team that's actually probably stronger, Hera and Leary, also joined by Hart, not sure how much he's going to play, is actually the Aftermath B. Anyways, so let's take a quick look at the draft over here. Atacama and Riverbelt, they just go for what they do best. Super aggressive, super
Yep,
open maps, just win with execution.
yep. I think it's definitely interesting that obviously Aftermath A have gone for Forest Pond and Kawasan. I'm interested to see what their strat is going to be on Forest Pond. I mean, clearly they've prepared something. It's from their civs. It kind of just seems like they're going to pick Malay and Italians and just go from there. Um, but yeah, this draft to me seems very meta. From Aftermath, just kind of good archer civs, good crossbow civs. Whereas for Hera and Leary. They have some interesting picks in there. They have, they've got humans, they have Portuguese, Biz, Burgundian, Spanish. So, it'd be really interesting to see where we're going to see those civs. I guess Spanish, maybe we'll see that on Forest Pond.
Yeah, I can see that. I'm ready with the first game, so whenever
Yeah,
you
yeah,
are, we
I'm a
will
few
get
seconds
going.
in. Count me down.
All right, 3, 2, 1, and go. So, welcome everybody to what is an aftermath civil war, so to say. aM.Nicov versus Hera and Leary, and for a long, long time in the history of Aftermath as a team, aM.Nicov were actually the stronger duo. In fact, back in 2019, before Definitive Edition, when I first hosted my first tournament, which was 2 pools 1, Hera was a backup to aM.MbL and Nicov in their team, and how times have changed. Now Hera and Leary are the stronger ones over here, but aM.MbL and Nicov are definitely gonna have their chances because these players know each other really well, and especially on the slower paced maps, aM.MbL and Nicov could potentially surprise Hera and Leary here, though they are definitely the underdogs in this one. aM.MbL with Bulgarians in red, Tatars for Nicov in yellow, and we'll have Hera as Blue Franks and Leary as Vikings in green.
Yeah, just thinking about the civs, it definitely seems like Hera and Leary have the better civ combo. Like obviously Vikings Franks is just S tier civs in both for both the Cav and Archer player, whereas MBL Nikov, Bulgarians, Tatars, I'm gonna be interested to see how they're gonna try and make this one work.
I kind of feel like they want to play a very short game over here, super aggressive. The free thumbering with Tatars is probably the name of the game, but Tatars is always a tricky civilization to play in these 2v2 setups because at some point you're gonna have to transition to Cav Archers, and you can just mass your crossbows and then go for an early imp and boom, you have a bunch of arbalests. So that's the main concern here with Tatars.
Yeah.
We'll see when Nicov does that transition, or even if he does that, and they might just try to go full Castle Age here, because in the long run, Franks do have Paladins available, and obviously Vikings will have a bunch of Arbs out.
Yeah, that's the problem, right? Like, you kind of hit the nail on the head. That's the problem with Tatars. Not having Arbalister means that, if you do get a big massive crossbows, you have to trade them in Castle Age, right? Because if you let Vikings get to Imperial Age, and obviously Vikings are a civ that can get to Imperial Age very quickly, so I think it's kind of a pretty bad matchup for Tatars. Um, like if you let Vikings get to Imperial Age, then your army essentially becomes almost redundant because they just can't really compete. And it's so awkward to make a heavy cav archer switch work just because they're so expensive, requires so many upgrades.
Scouts breaking into the base of Leary here, but he just casually quick walls his gold miners. This is the real pain of playing against Leary and Hera. Even if you do things right, like MBO is doing right now coming in with the raids, it doesn't guarantee you that you're gonna kill villagers because it's just Leary with the quick walls, although there is the first casualty of the game.
Yep. I mean, he's only killed one vill, but I mean, forcing like the quick walls, making everything awkward is still nice. Like it's still kind of like secondary damage. Like you know, it kind of slows Leary down a little bit. And especially as aM.MbL's map is just amazing. Like I'd probably take that.
Yeah,
I
aM.MbL's
think
map is amazing for Empire War standards. He's back against the wall, but this makes it very easy to wall off super safe gold mine. That's one of the best Empire Wars maps I've ever seen.
yep. And if you actually look, he's only walled with like 20 tiles or something along those lines. Let me check. Which is incredible for Empire Wars. Like yeah, he's got 20. He's got like 34 tiles of walls, which isn't that many. Um, and he's got basically everything completely secure. So yep, he must be loving life with that map. Whereas if we look like Hero and Leary, like both still haven't got their full wall off yet. Um, yeah, it seems like everyone was content to kind of just, you know, sit back passively and wait for cast stage, which kind of makes sense with how far both teams spawned away from each other. Um, I do like, though, how Nicov seems to be targeting Hera's gold. It seems like both aM.MbL and Nicov are going straight towards Hera's gold, which could actually be quite an issue. Like, that is a really, you know, out of position gold, right? And he has no other gold anywhere near. So if they do manage to like hit a really nice timing with that thumb ring timing, then they could do a lot of damage to Hero here.
Exactly, and Hera is on the way towards Castle Age, but he doesn't have a huge amount of scouts here, so it's not like they can easily take this down. And there's already one villager down here for Hera. He's gonna have to wall behind this one, but as he said, he might be off from gold, which comes at the worst possible time. He won't have gold for the upgrades or the night production.
Yeah, exactly. And oh, they're gonna break in through that house. Yeah, and this is huge because as well, one benefit of having Bulgarians is that they can get +2 really quickly. Like they're not a civ that is necessarily you know is going to be slow to that +2 timing. And if you do get +2 and just sit on the gold, then oh, this is a great fight for Nick. This is such a great start for
This is an amazing.
yeah.
And remember that those are Bulgarian scouts now with bloodlines. The other side is Frankish scouts, which means that there is no bloodlines on them.
Yeah, and now Nicov being cast stage gets slumbering. So
Yeah.
I think aM.MbL's mismicroed a little bit there. He's not helping the archers.
Yeah, that's
just letting
actually
them
very
die.
bad. Because those archers would have just need a couple more seconds until they're upgraded. Nonetheless, Hera has lost quite a bit here, and Leary also lost his archer mass, so... I mean, this could have
Yeah,
been better, but it
yeah,
was a good start still for
yeah. Yeah.
aM.Nicov.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. That was still a perfect start. And what this is doing now is, if you look at aM.MbL's base, it's buying him time to get that nice boom going, right? 2 TC straight away. Obviously, like I said, you can still get +2 with Bulgarians because it's so cheap. That's why they're a nice civ. And doing heavy economic damage to the cow player is really, really nice because I feel like it's harder to to be a useful player as a cab civ if you don't have big economy, right? So like that's the kind of it can snowball quite massively, like we saw in game one with Yo against Suomi. Like when he got behind, he just could never recover. It just takes so much economy to build Cavaliers.
Yeah, it's triple stable knights from Hera, but as I said, it's doubtful that he can afford double TC production plus triple stables here. aM.MbL's going triple TCs, but I think some of these TCs are just here to defend him from a Leary push. Leary going for early thumb ring. Overall, so far, Hera and Leary have lost 5 villagers combined, 4 of them for Hera and 1 for Leary.
Yeah, I definitely think that timing could have been a little bit better if aM.MbL had tried to tank for the archer a little bit, but I still think they had got really good damage. And again, this is a really nice timing from aM.MbL and Nicov. Like where is Leary's army? Like he just doesn't have the numbers, and Nicov is doing a great job with these archer numbers.
Yeah, a couple
They've
of
got
knights
18, yeah.
could get surrounded there. That's not ideal, but Hera's off from his
Oh,
primary gold, and he only has 5 on gold because of this. So
I
yeah,
just think, yeah, but this is just so messy from aM.MbL. Like, why do that? Like, why take the risk? Like, you already have complete presence on the map, right? All you need to do is sit with Nikov's army, and now they have to run back. I really think that was a pretty huge mistake for aM.MbL. There was just no need to do that.
yeah. Now there is ballistics for Nicov. He's got Thumbring as well. I think they could still try to force fights here, especially because Leary's crossbow mass is smaller. But it looks like aM just wants to play, I mean, the traditional aM.MbL and Nicov. Wants to play free TC boom for both players. I think they might be happy to play a very long game. Both Nicov and aM.MbL love long games, especially aM.MbL. So it makes some sense to try playing long games because that's where, you know, the strengths of Hera and Leary come out in early game, where it's small groups of units, small micro wars that decide the games. In a post-Imperial long game scenario, aM.Nicov are just as good as Hera and Leary, so
Yeah, but you don't want to be playing. Do you really want to be playing late game against Frank Viking with
yeah,
Pada
that's the
Bulgarian?
problem,
Like,
I believe.
I think Paladins would be quite a big issue there. And Frank, I think with Chivalry, like Frank with Trade, are probably one of the best, Paladin civs in the game, just because they can just, um, their production of Paladins is just ridiculous.
And the quality as well.
Yeah, exactly. So they're very hard to deal with. This is a really important fight. This is a lot of very heavy micro from both teams.
Yeah, that's...
Feels like, yeah.
I could see Nicov taking this hill here. Remember, Tatars have a hill bonus, so that could help. And the thing for Hera is that he was off from gold in the primary gold for a long time, and he only had a couple of villagers on gold, so he didn't really have a super reliable gold income here for him, and that means that his knight numbers are at 16 despite being on triple stables, whereas aM.Bl is at 14 with double stables, and aM.Bl now has an 8 villagers lead. The two archer players have the same ecos, but as you said, at some point you're gonna have to transition to cav archers with Tatars here.
Yeah, I think what we'll see is aM.Bl try and hit either the early imp timing or just complete night flood timing at some point, because either he's gonna go for the what's the upgrade called again? Chivalry? Or no, not chivalry, sorry, stirrups, and
Yep.
get the faster attack for the knights, or he's just gonna go like, all in like kind of cavalier with full upgrades early. I think that's with the eco lead that he's being able to kind of gain. I think that's where that timing could be quite scary.
He's making Crepost.
Crepost, wow.
I mean, I understand the concept because it protects two of his gold mines, so makes some sense, although he was mining stone and he already had like 400, so he could have waited a little longer and just go for a castle instead. That would also allow him to get stirrups.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think it's definitely a nice Crepost, right? Like those golds are so hard to deal with. Um, yeah, I just think this game, like, it's starting to get really difficult for aM.Bl and Nicov, because like, what are you gonna do about that imp time from Leary, right? It should be. Let's have a look at Leary's economy. Yeah, Leary's about to click imp, right? And this is the kind of the thing that I was saying about this matchup. Like, they needed to be more aggressive, right? Like, you can't really just sit there and wait while Viking is just gonna click imp very quickly. And at this point, it becomes tricky, right? Because they're gonna have to make something happen soon. Otherwise, Viking is just gonna steamroll the game.
Yeah,
The
Nicov could
question is,
click into
yeah.
Imp as well if he gets a market up. But as we discussed, what is he gonna do with Imp? He's gonna have Bracer crossbows, sure. But Arbalest will still be better. I think the key thing here could be aM.Bl imping, and we haven't really seen cavalry players imping as fast as Vikings do it, or just go for a raid on Hera's eco and once again get some idle time and get a couple of villager picks. I think
Yeah.
aM.Bl's imp time is the real question here, because if he gets to Cavalier approximately at the same time as Leary gets to Arbalest, then it's all fine, because Cavalier will still beat the Arbs.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. And here is miles away from well, not miles away. He's quite far away from clicking imp. And economically, here is really struggling. So you're right. Maybe this is how they survive that imp timing. It just feels really strange if you're Nicov to be. He's basically playing for Arbalest. No, not Arbalest. Right? He's playing for Bracer crossbows. Like, that's just such a strange way
Doesn't
to approach the game. But it's like maybe that can work if you have aM.Bl with a really nice imp time. And maybe let's have a look at aM.Bl's economy. Can he get stirrups? Yeah, okay, he's not gonna get stirrups, but he will have a lot of Cavalier with plus
Yeah.
4
What
defense.
I love about Bulgarians here is that you can make those cheap DCs, and the thing is that you will have a big Arbalest power spike for Leary, but when you have 5 TCs to fight against, those TCs will just keep your Arbs out so nicely, so without Siege, Leary won't be able to do much. Best thing he can do is head towards the base of Nicov, who is going for a couple more ranges. I certainly hope that Nicov knows Tatars don't have Arbalest.
Yeah, he's switching into heavy Cavalry now. He's got a lot of
Okay.
Cavalry producing.
Yeah.
Um,
In the long run, that's gonna be much more population efficient. You're gonna have the mobility advantage, and also, like, Cav archers are just better one-on-one against Arbs. The question is, getting those numbers. And I kind of feel like Nicov just camped here back with the Arbs or crossbows and not traded them because he was afraid that he could get pushed here and he just didn't want to risk losing his army. He has a hill here with Tatars, and that's something that's gonna help a lot.
yeah, you don't want to fight Tatar on a hill. Yeah, I think that's one thing they could have done, but again, this is going to be so interesting because obviously aM.Bl is going to be imp as well, so he will be able to get plus 4 defense. But then at the same time, obviously, like we said, Nicov can't get he can't get Arblast. So I don't know. Who do you think is going to be favored in this fight?
I still think it's actually aM.MbL and Nicov, although the cavalry numbers are bigger for Hera, it's almost double. Now that the heal is gone, it's a problem for aM.MbL and Nicov, because I think with the heal, you have the same range, so heal bonus actually compensates for not having ARPs here. But once Stir-Ups and +4 defense comes in for aM.MbL, they will clean this up. And I feel like this might even be an overextension from Tempo.
Yeah, I think Hera's committing a little bit too. And yeah, I think you're right. This is actually, honestly, like, Nicov and aM.MbL have played this really well so far, too. At least, obviously, I feel like their civs are just worse. Like, not massively worse, just a little bit worse. And I still think, providing Nicov doesn't take too much damage, they could be able to clean this up. How close is aM.MbL to getting his upgrades?
Yeah, Hera is about to imp as well. And aM.MbL needs to clean up those orbs, and Nicov just needs to focus down the cavalry, because that cavalry still only has +2 defense from Hera, so it would die to chemistry crossbows very easily.
Yeah, the problem is, though, is these orbs are just so strong, right? Like,
here comes the Cavalier, and aM.MbL is gonna loop around, so...
But they're completely out of position, right? He's just gonna raid Hera, I think.
That's a bad decision to me. Although, now Lear is trickling in orbs to the base of aM.MbL, and aM.MbL is just picking off those reinforcements, and honestly, that many Cavaliers running into Hera's base now might actually be a good decision.
I think this could be a game-winning move. I mean, it's so tricky. This is one of those situations where it's so hard to pick the right play, but I think this might be. If you look at aM.MbL's base, he's got crap hosts and a castle at home. Like, his eco is really secure. If he gets, like, fetching and bodkin, then he could probably, like, hold long enough so that this raid on Hera is game-winning, right? Like, if Hera starts getting down to, like, 70, 80 villages, like, he won't be able to get Paladin, right? He won't be able to deal with, oh, but this raid, Hera's doing the same thing to aM.MbL.
Yeah. aM.MbL has 5 TCs though, so losing a couple of villagers is easier for him to recover from than it is for Hera. And as you said, Hera is getting absolutely shredded here. Nicov also comes in with the Cav Archers, they just double team Hera, and now Cavaliers from aM.MbL going into the base of Leary as well.
Honestly, this is such an impressive game from aM.MbL and Nicov. I think decision-making wise, they have been, other than that one weird kind of play from aM.MbL, like getting his nice trap, they've been close to perfect. Like, this is, aM.MbL's even raiding Leary as well with a load of Cavalier. I just think they hit some really nice timings, and Nicov, like you said, he's kind of been able to get to a decent amount of Cavalry Archers. He still needs to get the upgrades for them.
Just look at the flood of aM.MbL's Cavalier, and those are Stir-Ups Cavalier. And it's much easier for aM.MbL to clean up those Knights inside his eco when he has +2, +4, and Stir-Ups on his Cavalier than it is for Hera to clean it up. And Hera's down to 52 villagers.
Yeah, 50 villagers, yeah. How do you compete with 50 villagers? You just can't. This will be a game where Leary is 1v2. But at the same time, like, how do you play 1v2 when you have an army with no mobility, right? It's just, yeah, this is just really clinical from aM.MbL and Nicov.
Yeah, Lear's got 74 ARBs, but he has got 0 mobility. Against Cav Archers and against Cavaliers, his eco would just be raided to death. I think his only option might be full Stone Walls, but even then, I mean, Hera is pretty much dead here. He's down to 43 vills. He also lost his Imp TC, by the way.
Yeah, that's just crushing, isn't it?
Well, he lost all his TCs, so obviously he lost the Imp TC as well.
Yeah, that's not ideal, really, losing every single TC.
And now, looks like aM.MbL is gonna have some gold issues, so he might be going for some Stir-Up Hussars. But that's also a nice one for him, and as I said, he's at 5 TCs, so rebooming for him is much easier than it is for Hera.
Yeah, I think, honestly, this game is kind of, demonstrates how, like, big, small advantages can snowball, right? Like, that initial fight with those archers that got into Hera's gold and did some damage, and enabled, like, aM.MbL to just kind of boom a little bit more quickly. It kind of, like, obviously it needed aM.MbL to make that perfect decision of going and destroying Hera's economy, but, like, it shows you, like, how much that can affect a game, because obviously aM.MbL was able to get him so much more quickly, and getting like those Cavalier with, you know, Stirrups and all the upgrades, it's kind of enabled them to get such a huge advantage.
Yeah. Leary takes a pretty decent fight on the left side against uphill Tatars here, but behind this one his eco is collapsing. This is where the lack of mobility comes in. Those Cavaliers would just run around his eco and destroy it as it is.
Yeah,
Hera and Leary,
yeah.
Hera and Leary combined for 121.
Yeah. Like
121
58
villagers
pulls.
for Hera and Leary. Nicov alone
Uh,
has 119.
yep. Um, I'm not sure what timing they're playing for right now, to be honest.
Hera is trying to imp, and I think the initial plan was that Leary could slink him into some cavalry, but now Leary's eco is torn apart. So they're down to 109 villagers. They have market set up, but now it's heavy CA as well, and Leary's Arbalest numbers will just be slowly decimated, as he won't be able to replenish them.
Yeah, exactly. And the problem is they've given Tada so much time that now Tada is actually really strong because they have heavy cav archer, almost fully upgraded, missing bloodlines. But yeah, Tada heavy cav archer with the mobility and the HP. Obviously he's the unique upgrade as well,
Yeah.
but they become extremely strong in the late game. All you need to do is kind of park them on hills. And yeah, just
I think Nicov forgot about Bloodlines and Husbandry here because he doesn't seem to have a stable.
right.
Oh, Nicov,
That would
Nicov.
that would explain it.
Hera is going for Cavalier, 43 villagers. The problem for him is that Leary can't slink him either, because Leary's at 78. He's got 51 orbs, but behind this one, Nicov is already pushing forward, and the Cavarchers will also be an excellent unit to just disrupt trade whenever that's established for Hera and Leary, if that even happens.
More than that, the cav archers can just sit in Hero's base and prevent him from getting any economy, which is what they're doing right now. And also alongside preventing trade. So I just think, honestly, Hero and Leary I struggle to see a win condition here.
Yeah, their eco is just so fragile. Their army numbers are still there, but they would just get raided and raided, because it is the player that is supposed to have the mobility that's dead here entirely. Leary is also half dead, and as I said, he's at 56 orbs, but those numbers will just keep dropping. aM is not setting up any trade just yet, though, and that's, I think, is a bit of a mistake. They need to think about what happens if Hera and Lear start coming back, and okay, now Bloodlines and Husbandry will come in for Nicov. Better late than never.
Yep, he still needs... Does he have the unique tech?
Silk Armor? I don't think so.
Yeah, so he still needs that. Yeah.
He gets Party and Tactics for free, but
Yep.
doesn't really matter, because now MBL with the light cav raids, and surprise in the making, Aftermath aM.Nicov takes this game. I think the key thing was how well MBL was able to keep pace with Lear's imp timing. Those Cavaliers were so crucial. And then they made that gamble decision to push into Hera's base with the Cavalier, and it worked out really well. It was a gamble, but it actually worked out well.
Yeah, I think you have to respect how intelligent that gamble was because they realized that Nicov could just sit in his base behind the TCs, and obviously because Hero was an imp, he couldn't dive under the TCs. And MBL did a perfect. Obviously, he had a really nice map, but he did a really nice job as well of just defending his map. So he knew that he could counter raid, and the damage that would be done to him would be less. And yeah, just completely taking out Hero was the perfect decision, and yeah, a really nice victory because if you look at the Sibs used as well, like. You can't help but feeling that Bulgarians and Tatars are not your S tier picks. Like they're still very good civs, they're still A tier, but like Frank and Vikings, like those are some of the if you were to pick civs, right? Like I don't think you could pick much better than Frank or Vikings on Arabia.
Yeah, I can agree with that. So Franken Vikings was the ultimate combo, and maybe there was more to this Bulgarians than just, getting the early attack upgrade or the defense upgrade into this one. It was also about the theses give you so much safety against that Vikings Arbalest power spike, plus the Kreposts as well, to just control your map, because that's what you want to avoid, getting steamrolled by those orbs.
Yeah, exactly. But I also think as well it was partly helped by Nicov having that really nice raid on Hero's Gold early on. I think that really like set them up in a good way. I think if Hero and Leary were a bit more active in maybe in Feudal Age and like a bit more proactive, and Hero was able to stabilize on 3 TCs, like I think it'd be a very different game. But credit obviously to Nicov and MBL for finding that damage.
And now we are going to the first home map of Hera and Leary. They have two very similar home maps. So two super open, super aggressive home maps to play around with. Atacama or Riverbelt, does it really mean a lot which they select first? The two maps are so similar.
Um, They're quite similar. I'd say aSCOM is very different from Riverbelt in the way it plays out. Um, but I think they are both very aggressive maps. Um, so yeah, are you in
Yeah,
the next game?
I'm in the game.
Cool. I'm 3 seconds. Just count me down.
All right, let's do a countdown with 3, 2, 1, and go. So welcome everybody to Atacama over here. These are the maps where Hera and Lyric will really shine. These super open, super aggressive maps. And yes, they lost the first game, but you also have to consider that maybe they just didn't have enough warm-up. We have seen this so many times that the team that loses the first game suddenly starts steamrolling in the upcoming ones because the first game was also sort of a bit of a warm-up for them. Archers for Leary in green Vietnamese, and a Kuman Scouts play here from Hera in blue, whereas Nicov is playing Chinese in yellow for archers, and aM.MbL is playing Indians in red. Which of these two civilizations are you favoring?
I'm really not sure to be honest. I think Indians is a nice pick because obviously it's a map where cavalry is very good because obviously it's so open and the wood is quite far away from your TC. So and you can't really wall either. So it's kind of nice to have Indians to like deal with any like cavalry raiding. But at the same time, yeah, it could be difficult to deal with Vietnamese with the extra HP, and obviously camels have quite low attack. I don't know about you, but I'm very interested to see how Hero is going to play humans, because I wouldn't really think of picking humans and picking scouts on
Yeah,
this map. I don't know about you.
yeah, the picking Kumans can make sense, especially because you could potentially think about the second TC, like midway feudal age or so you could drop that earlier and secure the wood in the middle. That could be helpful. But one thing that's interesting with Kumans and the scouts is that usually now that you have discount on those production buildings, you use it as an archer civ. And the reason why, as he picks off a villager here, is because you need double archer ranges almost immediately, whereas you just don't need double stables immediately. You just can't afford to produce those.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just kind of like you can't really produce that quickly. I guess he's building the second stable now, so it's obviously going to be two stable all in. But here's MBR. Yeah, so the trouble is here, I think already we're seeing Hera and Leary just put on so much pressure on their opponents.
Yeah, but
Whereas it feels like
that's because aM.MbL went all the way to Hera, and Hera's gonna lose a couple of wheels
oh
here.
wow,
So
yeah.
aM.MbL just gave up on his own defense. In fact, Nicov comes in with a couple of archers to help and clean that one up, while it is Hera who aM.MbL is targeting for this push.
Yeah, and this is really important because Hera obviously has already committed to two stables, right? So he needs the good economy to be able to produce. Um, and yeah, a couple of wheels gone down, like gonna kill another scout.
Yeah.
Um, and do they hold? It seems like they held MBL's base as well, so I think this actually went really well.
Yeah,
Um,
aM.MbL didn't lose a single villager in this game. Nicov lost 2, but Hera lost 3 over here, so in the end this is slightly better for Aftermath, but that's an early Bloodlines here for Hera, and that could be a massive power spike. We know exactly how Hera's gonna play this. This is going to be full feudal scouts for him. Whereas for Nicov, he's probably thinking about Castle Age, but I kind of feel like the weak link here is aM.MbL, because now he lost most of his scouts, and Clear is pushing him really heavily. aM.MbL doesn't really have safe resources right now.
yeah, that's the problem, right? He traded the scouts for economy of Hera, but now Leary is just kind of set up so well in his base, right? Like MBL is not going to be able to take gold. Um, and that one tower for MBL, it does defend a lot of his economy, but it's like those berries are soon going to run out, right? And those woodlines don't last long either. So soon he's going to have a tower that's kind of only defending some farms. Um,
Yeah, I kind of feel like first of all, aM.MbL has a lot of villagers in queue over here. Now getting Bloodlines as well. Castle Age soon in for both Leary and Nicov. And now the scouts for aM.MbL with Bloodlines and +1 defense jump on Leary, and Leary doesn't have Spearman here back at home to defend.
yeah, this is really well. He's got one spearman poking away, which is actually doing really good damage. And honestly, I think that was a good trade, right?
Oh, but there is Nicov coming in with some archers and skirms. That could easily pick off the Spearman, but he's not looking because he's getting raided by Hera. Leary is
Yeah,
keeping a big
yeah.
group of archers coming though, and I think Nicov will lose a lot of villagers here to those archers.
Yeah, it's definitely looking tricky, right? Because that army from Leary and Nikov's base is there's a lot of potential to do damage there, right?
Oh, beautiful quick wall
Oh,
there from Nicov to
yeah,
prevent the
yeah.
archers from running beneath the tower. He's going to lose a couple of vills here. In fact, he's going to lose quite a lot. He's losing way too much, though.
Yeah, yeah. I think he's losing everything essentially that isn't in the tower. Um,
Yeah, that's -6 vills now. And more scouts are coming in from Hera. Nicov lost 9 vills. The real reason why they're actually losing this one so heavily is because in this map you can sort of separate the two sides and just play two 1v1s instead of a 2v2. And individually, Hera and Leary are much stronger, so you don't have the ability like what aM.Nicov had in the previous game to just team up on one player and weaken him and then snowball the game from there.
well, I just think as well. I think Leary was really confident and aggressive, whereas Nikov was quite passive in his opening. So Leary kind of sent his initial units to be a real nuisance to MBL, and then we saw the Nikov reaction, which is sending his own units to save MBL. And what that does is it just kind of means Nikov was under pressure from Hera, and Leary was pressuring MBL, and they just kind of lost all momentum from that point onwards. Like
Oh boy,
although like oh
that's ugly. That's
yeah,
ugly, and it's going to be
yeah,
crossbows in a moment for Leary. That's all Nikov's would income.
yeah, and
MBL
I think that's yeah.
MBL is playing triple stable scouts here, but I feel like this time around, Leary is so much ahead compared to Nicov. Nicov caused the GG, and, well, Hera and Leary strike back real quickly over here. We know how they love super, super open and aggressive maps. But this is where
Yep.
we have to mention that, okay, they won this. They still have River Belt, and we can probably assume that Hera and Leary are the favored team over there. But since aM.Nicov won Arabia, all they have to do is win their own home maps, which are a lot more slower paced, Kavasan and Forest Pond. So technically, they can afford to lose these more aggressive and fast paced maps as long as they can secure the wins on their own home maps.
Yeah, the problem is though, it's not like Hera and Leary are weak on those maps. Like
Yeah,
the
obviously,
problem is
they're.
that yeah, like, they're still quite even. It's just that Hera and Leary are just incredible at the really open maps, like more so than they are at the more so than they are bad at the closed maps.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
absolutely. Aaron and Leary are insane on all maps, but especially on open maps. So if you want to have any chance of winning, then you have to have that on closed maps. So
yep.
Vietnamese and Kumans over here working out, but really it was a matter of just execution and maybe even a bit of a decision making. How much you commit to a certain push, how many archers you move out with. Just taking slightly better fights, this can snowball out of control really fast.
Yeah, I just think Leary was really a difference maker there with being so aggressive and being able to pressure MBL so quickly, and that again it just meant that Hera had a free time raiding Nikov, and whereas Nikov had to send his army to go and deal with the spearmen in MBL's base.
Yeah.
And yeah.
In the end, Nicov lost 14 villagers, aM.BL lost 4 and killed 4. It was mostly Hera scouts that did the work, 11 kills, but Leary also picked off 7 villagers, so both Hera and Leary, I think the key thing was that Hera was able to secure his wood line over here, and it was just the timing of these strikes on Nicov. Like, they realized, okay, there is a wood line here, we could double team that. Leary, a little bit faster to Castle Age, allows him to get crossbowmen as well. So, and oh yeah, I didn't even see the left side, that Leary has another group of crossbows marching into
Yep.
aM.BL's base.
Yep.
All right. So, now we're going to first home map of aM.BL and the Nicov over here. Kawasan or Forest Pond? Looks like it's going to be Forest Pond. How do you feel about the civilizations?
Um. Well, I'm already in the game, so I know it's been picked.
All right,
But
let's do a countdown then.
yeah, yeah.
With 3, 2, 1, and go. So welcome to Forest Pond. It's gonna be a little bit of a slower pace start, so we will have a chance to talk about the civilizations. Spanish for Hera in blue, Leary as Byzantines in green, left side is Koreans for aM.BL in red, and Nicov as Italians in yellow. I think
Yeah.
I probably favor Koreans, Italians, although they don't really have a good cavalry civ. But I just love Italians on this map. The Genoese crossbows are such a power unit late game, and you really need that power unit late game.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the thing is, you don't really need a cav sieve necessarily on a map that is so. Basically, there are two big choke points right on each side, and then there's the water in the middle. It's like you don't necessarily need a cav sieve. You just need civs that are kind of strong at transitioning into Imperial Age. And if you don't have that, you need to be able to pressure quite early. But it does seem like both teams are content to contest water, except it seems like Leary and Hero are only building one dock each, whereas the other side, both Nicov and aM.MbL are building two docks each. So they should win water. It's just about how and what Hero and Leary choose to do in Cast Stage. Oh, no, never
Yeah.
mind. Sorry, Leary's building two docks. I didn't see that one.
Yeah.
It's right in the middle.
I love this dock in the middle. That's actually a very good idea. Something that we have seen sort of as an evolution of this map. You build a dock close to the middle, so you're close to the fight. Also, you're close to the fish in the middle, which isn't really abundant. There is some fish in here, but not an awful lot. And it very much seems like we'll have double docks from Nicov, triple from aM.MbL. Hera is also going for a second dock, so people will contest the water really heavily here.
Yeah, but Hero delayed that dock, and if you look at Hero's economy, he's actually already built 7 farms. So Hero should have a really decent cast stage time behind this, whereas the others will be a little bit slower.
Yeah. Lear is also going to have a decent food bank over here. And also, he's got the Byzantine fire galleys, something that helps quite a bit. Also worth mentioning that Koreans don't even have demo raft, so that's something that is going to cause problems over here for aM.MbL.Nicov, I believe.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. Not having Demirov kind of just nullifies one of the big risks of playing a fire galley war, right? Just, keep tanking a huge demo shot. So it seems like aM.MbL, not aM.MbL, sorry, Nicov will have to be the one getting the demos. Oh, nice demo already from Hero. And wow, okay, yeah. So Leary's already on the way to cast stage. So is Nicov. That makes sense. Obviously, being Italians, having the cheaper uptime.
And selling the
Obviously, really
stone.
nice build. Oh,
So
he sold stone.
both
Wow.
Nicov and Leary sold their stone, in fact, to go up. Hera's going to keep his stone, I believe. He probably wants to go multiple TCs. I don't think he's going to play Conquistadors. And what's up with aM.MbL? He's not selling his stone, neither is him mining any, so no war wagons just yet.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the plan is for aM.MbL. I guess he's about to. He's not that close to clicking either. I guess aM.MbL went 3 docks straight away, so he was a little bit slower with the uptime. And obviously, you don't really want to sell wood with Koreans. This seems like a good fight. Oh no.
It was sort of an even fight over here. If we look at the KDs, I'm just going to quickly look at that. Yeah, that's basically dead even kill death ratios. It's just a matter of, aM.MbL.Nicov having slightly better numbers over here because Lear is on 3 docks, but I think he stopped producing for some time, whereas aM.MbL went full fire galleys. So, in fact,
and yeah.
they have 6 docks combined, and Lear and Hero only have 5, so Hero only went for 2 docks. This also means that his eco on the land is going to be slightly stronger, though.
Yeah. But one interesting thing though is aM.MbL has made a decision of what he's going for. He's got those villagers on stone, so we are going to see war wagons. And I don't know about you, but I feel like that's going to be really scary to deal with if you are Leary. Because what do you really go for, right? I guess you can go for like what, full monks? Full monk
Yeah,
skirm?
probably monks is your best bet. It looks like Hera did lose his scout in a fight versus Nikov's one. That's going to hurt because he has no vision on the outside, and against Italians could easily castle drop you if they want.
Potentially, yeah. I think Italians are probably more likely to play a bit more passively because obviously it feels like Nicov is committing mostly to the water. So I don't think they are necessarily too worried about that. But there's also a nice engagement on aM.MbL's docks. They're building 4 docks now, actually.
Yeah,
Wow.
he can go for demos, and this is where lack of demos hurts really badly. On the other side, this could be a massive trap because there is fire ships now in for Nicov. He also has a lot of demos, and there is nowhere to run here for Hera and Leary.
That was actually a really nice demo shot though from Hera. He managed to take out 2 demos essentially for free. But yeah, this is going to be a really nice cleanup. And aM.MbL sending in reinforcements as well.
Yeah, some demos coming in very useful here for Hera. as he's also going for his own War Galley upgrade. aM.MbL will be last one to grab that. And it looks like everybody's going to play 2 TCs. We'll see about aM.MbL. He's mining stone with 4 only, so he won't go for an immediate castle drop.
And aM.MbL is actually sending a villager forward to build a tower, but I think, did Leary see that straight away? Yeah, he did because of the free town patrol.
Oh yeah,
So
that's
yeah, that
useful
that new
upgrade.
bonus. Yeah,
Indeed,
yeah, new bonus from him.
Koreans can be very annoying with those guard towers. It's much harder to clean them up than it is to clean up a watchtower.
Yeah, and obviously aM.MbL again is one of those players where you just don't want him having forward towers at your base. He's just so good at that kind of thing. He's so good at kind of using the map control to his advantage. But yeah, nice reaction from Leary. Obviously, I guess aM.MbL probably forgot that Biz get free town patrol now, so that was quite an easy.
Yeah, and
reaction.
look at what Lear is doing. He's sending his scout over because he knows that that villager from aM.MbL might escape. So he's just sending in his scout just to make sure that villager dies. And
well,
nope.
I mean,
well,
that villager's now trapped.
But now, yeah, Leary actually has one of his villagers trapped in here. So aM.MbL should send 2 and just kill that lady.
Yep. Yeah, okay, so it feels like this game is kind of stabilized a little bit now. We're just seeing both teams just kind of booming. Definitely seems like Hero went for that boom sooner.
Turtle ships. Sorry to
Turtle
interrupt, but there's war galleys from aM.MbL, and there's turtle ships as well pushing Leary's wood line, and that's probably why he wanted the tower. You go for a tower, you deny a lot of wood. You add some ships, you also do that. And at this pace, now that aM.MbL is mining stone, I can see aM.MbL just going for a castle drop inside the base of Leary. Leary is also not noticing that his scout is getting killed by aM.MbL's scout over here.
Oh yeah, there's definitely a lot going on right now, right? A lot of places to focus on. Okay, so this is kind of interesting how this game is developed, right? So it's clear that *Nicov and aM.MbL focus more on water. So they will be able to use the water to get fish to get a nice eco lead. But at the same time, it seems like Leary and Hero have kind of gone for that 3TC boom a little bit quicker, so their land economy will be much better. And obviously Hero, we know Hero loves booming, right? Already on the 4TCs. How do you think this game is going to develop, Vito? So you think aM.MbL's transport?
Nope, converted turtle ship over here. The weird thing is that aM.MbL's on 3 TCs, but he has only 14 on food, and there's the transport ship. There's a siege workshop as well. I am like 90% sure that's gonna be a landing inside the base of Leary. That's why they're cleaning up those houses on the shoreline. Leary's villager escaped, by the way, so now aM.MbL's base is actually open.
Oh yeah.
Hera lost both of his dogs, so he will just now play full eco now, and Hera's not far away from imping. He's 4 TC booming, and if you look at his resources, that's not really bad. It looks like it's gonna be an outside castle drop by aM.MbL, so maybe he just wants to trap Leary inside his base.
Yeah, well, the thing is he can build that forward castle, right, and then continue the pressure inside his base when it's fun. So he can build some towers and, you know, mangle his TC. And so you can do both.
That's why that villager here hurts for Leary. Like, if aM.MbL kills that villager, Leary wouldn't have seen the villagers coming forward. He actually pinged on the map that aM.MbL is coming forward for a castle. That could actually be a massive problem for aM.MbL here, because the monks can slow down the castle progress, and now that's going to be a very underwhelming castle here, to be honest.
Yeah, that's not really what you really want to see, and I think Hero should be close to imping. Question is, what do you do if you're Hero when you click imp? Like, what's the plan? Again, especially against *Nicov, who is probably going to be going for Genoese crossbowmen. Like, how do you really play that as Spanish?
Good question, because it depends on how many Genoese crossbows could be there, and the monks tried to slow down the castle progress by just switching between villagers that they are converting, because that just stops the villagers from building or doing anything. But obviously, at some point they will finish those conversions, and now the castle goes up. And, oh, a guard tower landing from aM.MbL. That's what he was playing for.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's why he brought the Mangano. So he, basically, with Koreans, right, and with those 3 guard towers, you can just siege push TCs. And obviously the towers can just zone any Manganos. So it's really annoying to deal with. Oh, nice Mangano shot on the villagers.
Yeah, that castle is, or that tower, is not gonna secure the other one. Although now, Imperial Age is on the way for *Nicov, and he's already got a castle Genoese crossbows right away, I like that. It looks like he's gonna mix in some orbs as well, just because it doesn't have the production. And Hera will play probably skirms here. I was thinking about that for a moment. If you know that your opponent is going gembles, you might as well open skirms and later on switch to heavy cav. But Leary is in trouble here.
Yeah, Leary, yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? Leary right now is in big trouble. Those monks also wasting them to the towers. Oh, they're so low.
Yeah, they're low. They do have redemption, but that tower could also go up, and now the safe wood income for Leary would be gone. Another tower coming in right next to the monastery, which would mean that those monks couldn't even pop out of the monastery. Leary is buying stone. I think he wants a castle, like, in the middle of his farming eco to stop this. He's also imping, so he could trap down everything that MBL has here.
Yeah, that is. How close is aM.MbL to getting to the Imperial Age? No, he's really far. Okay. But the trouble is, like, Leary's economy is just so like messy right now, right? I guess aM.MbL's isn't that much better, but oh, somehow Hero managed to get 2 war galleys on the water and sniping fishing boats.
Yeah, he
I have
actually
no idea.
converted them, I believe. He has...
Oh wow.
That's actually brutal, because that was an important piece of Nikov's economy, although fish is running out slowly. Another tower went up here for aM.MbL inside Lear's base. Still, Lear just needs 1 or 2 trebs, and he should have no trouble winning this one. Or at least cleaning this up. But he's got set back pretty heavily economically, and as long as Lear is not a factor, the Genoese crossbows, bombard cannons could easily snowball the game for Nicov here.
Well, interestingly enough, Nicov is making a text, which I think he's going to go for condos, because he saw the skirms from Hera, and he realizes, okay, there's not that much point in investing straight into ARBs, and I mean, look, yeah, look, the condo's already coming out, and the great thing about doing this is that, like, what can Hera actually do now? Because he can't go for the hand cannons, obviously, because condos are just a counter to the hand cannons naturally, right?
He needs cav.
He's stuck on skirms, yeah.
He needs cav, but that's going to take a lot of time to tech into, especially because he's still getting the upgrades for the skirms, so it would take a lot of time to get the defense upgrades for those, and even if you do, there is Genoese crossbows, so as long as Leary isn't able to influence the game here, I think Nicov has the unit composition advantage over Hera.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just whether or not he can get the upgrades in time and the mass before he starts getting pushed, which he should be able to. It definitely would be useful for him to get the plate mail armor and the extra armor after that, just to make sure that they're, you know, as tanky as they can be. But yeah, it's still tricky though, because he does have to hold this castle, and that's gonna be a lot of stone repairing.
And if he loses his castles, he won't have Genoese crossbows, so Hera is probably fine losing a castle. Nicov not so much, and only a couple of condos diving in. That's not going to be enough.
Yeah, that's going to be enough, yeah.
And Hera's a lot of monks, so bombard cannons aren't really an option here either for Nicov.
Yep, and on the other side, Leary's pushing back with the trebuchets, as you said. I think the trouble is, the thing is, Leary's done a great job of holding, right? Like, he still has 102 vills, whereas aM.MbL has only got a 10 vill lead on him, despite kind of playing for that forward pressure. He is going imp now. The question is, what does he build, right, when he does get there?
Some hand cannons are being mixed in here by Hera. He's floating 1200 gold, or 1200 stone right now, or 1600 wood. Nicov needs some more condos, and he just needs to be patient and unpop these. And the villager from Lear is still alive. That's the one that was chasing the villager all around. And now he's making sneaky ranges on the left side, which will make it really hard to keep trade alive in the long run. There is Pavise for Nicov for the condo armor. And he just needs to be patient here. But Hera's were decking into heavy cavalry.
Yeah, this is honestly, Hero's done a great job, and I think that's partly because his boom was better. I think maybe you could argue it's kind of, maybe it's a bit unfair, but maybe Nicov invested too much into the water. Like, it just kind of, it feels like this shouldn't be that strong of a timing from Hero, but he's just had so much economy that he's able to keep pushing, despite having, in theory, the worst unit comp.
Yeah, Hera's also steamrolling buildings, so he could use the Redemption Monks as well to try and convert them. And as I said, it's not about investing a lot into water, it's about what do you get from it. Like, free TC boom, by the time you get fishing eco, it's not going to give you a huge amount of food to play with. And it looks like aM.MbL is in Imperial teching into condos as well. It's going to be a double condo play here.
That is so interesting. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's something that that Leary won't expect, and Leary doesn't really have any units, right? But at the same time, Leary does have a castle, so he could go for cataphracts.
Yeah,
I don't know if I like that from MBL, to be honest. I'm not sure if
yeah.
that's necessarily the
I'm not
best
necessarily a
decision.
fan of that, although it's only one castle from Leary. Cataphracts take a lot of time to train and tech into, whereas condos, you can flood them out immediately, though Leary with the stone walls should be able to prevent that one from happening. Now, Nikov needs to hold that castle, I believe. But
Yeah, this is gonna be huge.
he's
Yeah.
got 45 condos, and Hera's going for Hussardo. Here's the deal, though. They are going to deny the corner from Nikov at this space. Here come the condos, though, and I feel like that's going to be a cleanup here by Nikov.
Yeah, this should be a big cleanup, right? In theory. And this could swing the game. If this fight goes really well for Nico, which in theory it should, then he's gonna take all those traps. He could deny that castle, and suddenly the game turns on its head, right? Because now here is the one being pushed, and on the other side, I guess we'll have to see on how this condo switch plays out.
Yeah, and as you said, that castle could be denied, but the condos aren't focusing the vills. Getting that castle up would buy a lot of time for Hera, but it's already being trapped down. And does Hera know that condos are supposed to counter gunpowder units? Because he's making hand cannons all day.
Yeah, I'm not sure this army of hand cannon hussar is really the right play against condos. I mean, obviously it's tricky to find the right units because if you do go for something like Cavalier, then you can just switch to Generous crossbows. But hand cannons, I think they get two-shot by them, right? They're really not very good.
Condos are actually the gunpowder counter unit here.
Yeah, they are, yeah.
And Leary gets a castle up here, but this is where we have to mention that two of Leary's golds are very open and the condos are breaking in. Oh boy. Double condos is such an awkward thing, but it's Arbalest for Leary. That can stop condos quite nicely, but they don't have the mobility, so they can just run around and destroy Leary's eco here at the back. And on the other side, Hera absolutely has no tools to stop condos. And Nicov should mix in some Genoese crossbows now so that he has slightly better tools against the Hussar.
Yeah, the problem is for Nicov and MBL is they don't. I mean, I guess both sides don't really have a corner, right? So it's like at the end of the day, you kind of gonna have to switch into trash at some point, and obviously condos are relatively expensive.
Yeah, and Hera's already doing Hussar. Pikemen being teched into by Nicov, that's just sad. You know, the Italian pikemen. Towers coming in to push the south, though, and the condos are doing work inside Leary's base. Leary has a massive forward here, though, on the north, something that is still yet to be discovered by aM.MbL and Nicov. He's massing a humongous amount of orbs on that side.
Yeah, I can't help but feel that like MBL kind of made a mistake with that condo play. I just really do not see what that achieved. And Leary, like, he held that side, right? But Leary's obviously focusing a lot of his attention on that corner. And those arbs are now showing themselves and they're going to harass the economy. I feel like MBL should have been able to do more. And I just think those condos were really underwhelming.
Yeah. He's now taking into Elite Skirm, which is nice over here, especially if Hera can't help Leary on that side. As you said, those arbs are going to be really painful now for MBL. And more importantly, destroying those buildings is going to be really painful. Because as long as those are there, and there is no trade, although now Hera is getting pushed back quite rapidly.
Yeah, I think one thing we have to praise MBL for, like obviously you could argue that his unit comp was a bit questionable, but he's doing a great job on the other side, building keeps, supporting his teammate, making sure that they're securing the trade and pushing back Hero from that corner. Now all they have to do is secure the other corner, because obviously those arbs from Leary are doing lots of work. Nicov is actually rallying units back to deal with that, which is quite painful.
That's gonna buy some time for Hera to hold this one, though. House is being built here by Nicov to protect the Trebs. As aM.MbL also got the unique tech for the towers, so he's got 13 range on them, which means they outrange bombard cannons.
Yeah, that's really useful.
And there is a Silk Road, I believe, for Nicov, so they are definitely getting ready to set trade up here.
Yeah, that is one. But the thing is, like, where can they build trade? There are so many. I guess the arbs have been cleaned from Leary. aM.MbL's trying to build a 4 towers to secure that corner, but I don't think that's gonna work.
Hera comes in with the raid here. I don't think he can accomplish much here, though. In fact, he might just bump into walls all around. And now that Arbalests are here for Leary, I can see Skirmisher and War Wagon working for aM.MbL, who's getting pushed back quite heavily.
Yeah, I think maybe if aM.MbL just opened like what Skirm Bomber Cannon, I think maybe it could have been fine. Just that Kondo play really just didn't really achieve a whole lot.
And
Question is, yeah.
that sneaky
Um,
villager is still so annoying. And as I said, it was a villager that was trapped. aM.MbL just need to send 2 vills to kill that vill. Obviously, Leary could have sent a different one, so it's not like it would have guaranteed the prevention of that forward, but still, that single villager is now causing so much chaos for aM because their attention is diverted into the corners, which buys time for Hera and Leary.
yeah, and can you imagine if they had this corner cleaned way sooner? They would be on like 20 or 30 trade cards. At least Nicov would be, right. Whereas like the problem is, if Nicov gets pushed back, then Spanish trade is really strong, right? Like it's really hard to deal with Spanish trade.
Yeah, and
Because you're just getting more gold, right?
aM.MbL is getting pushed back, that's the other thing, so they had their window here to push Hera, but since they are distracted here on the north, that's going to be slowed down. Hera, once again with the light cav raids over here. I kind of feel like you're gonna have to start adding Genoese crossbows here for Nicov. There is still no trade for either team. Leary's wood income will be in jeopardy though, because guess what? The war galleys are now doing work denying the wood income there. And that could be something that helps aM.Nicov here, denying the wood with the war galleys.
Yeah, I just think this game is poised for Hera and Leary to start pushing, right? I mean, that push from Leary in the north is doing work, and obviously, like I guess Leary's forward is being cleaned up out now, which is nice. But I don't think it actually matters because it feels like Leary should be able to push the other corner in the north. So he's obviously lost the corner in the left, but that's fine because he's retaking the other corner. So it's going to be up to aM.MbL to try and hold this.
Yeah. Nicov actually has forgotten to get Blast Furnace for those condos the whole time. Now he's stacking into Light Cavern. This is where we have to mention that Italian Hussar are fully upgraded, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they are, yeah.
So those are actually pretty decent units. And oh, look at the path that those trade cards are taking right now for Hera, or for Leary and aM.MbL. They're going... Wait a minute! aM.MbL and Nicov are trading to the right-hand side corner that Leary is about to take.
Yeah, exactly. That's the issue, right? That's what I was talking about. It doesn't matter the fact that Leary's forward got cleaned up on the left, like because they're pushing the trade. The one benefit for Nicov and aM.MbL is that Leary and Hera haven't started trade themselves yet either. So like both teams are trying to secure the corners so that they can trade, but they're just kind of both struggling to get that kind of final bit of map control to allow them to trade.
Yeah, that's 5 traps there for Leary though, although it's mostly just skirms, so I kind of feel like when you have 41 skirms, now if aM.MbL went for a couple of condos, he could easily clean this one up. And aM.MbL has the resources to do that. In fact, he's swimming in resources. Supremacy for Hera, for his villagers.
Yeah, the one good thing for Nicov is that if he does manage to get trade, and obviously his trade is cheaper, like just spamming condos is actually just winning on this side, because yeah, obviously they just clean everything up, and if you have just infinite gold, then they should be able to deal with Spanish.
Yeah, but I think that I mean, Leary and aM.MbL and Nicov are just about to lose their entire corner here. I don't think they can hold this longer. Nicov is coming in here with barracks, but this is the time where you have to switch to the other corner. Just preserve your trade numbers. You have 24 trade cards versus 0.
Yep.
And there's cannon galleons as well for aM.MbL, so he's shelling the castles. And, a landing even for aM.MbL. He wants to deny the wood income from Leary here with some towers.
But the problem is though, like that's all nice, but I think Leary should still be fine economically, and his units are very cheap. And the one thing I love that Hero's doing is he sent like 40 hussars to the other side, and like aM.MbL is building pure skirm, so like aM.MbL can't really deal with that. Honestly, I think this is looking really good for Hero and Leary.
Yeah, especially if you look at the army numbers, it's almost double the army. And despite the fact that the ecos are very similar, Hero's got 64 hussar and Leary's got like 50 elite skirms. If aM.MbL and Nicov are given time, then this is fine, but they need to destroy that market, otherwise their trade just runs into their death.
Yep, and Kamikaze
trade. that market needs to be destroyed, because otherwise the trade is always going to select that furthest away market, and they're just losing all their trade cards now.
Yep, and yeah, now that Hira and Leary should be able to start trading themselves, like against Spanish trade, I struggle to see what Nicov and MBL can do. I mean, if Hira can start getting to like Cavalier or Paladin, then obviously without having the Genovese crossbow mass, then there's not much Nicov can do. And the same has to be said on the other side. And yeah, honestly, I think it's looking very difficult for Nicov and MBL.
It is, although there are some promising signs, so wood income could be a problem for Hera and Lyra in the long run, but as you said, I kind of feel like they're pushing the north faster than Hera is losing the south. Hera still has his castle up here to defense.
Yep, and I think the thing is, MBO has a lot of like villagers and resources. He can't get like a big enough massive army to actually compete with Leary. So this is one of those times for Leary where, despite only having 109 vills, that's actually better because he just has so many skirms, right? He can never. He's got 60 skirms. It's like MBL can never take a cost-effective trade because he's just outnumbered 2-1 in every fight, or even more.
And
So
we have to
MBL
keep
actually
in
kind of
mind
overwhelming the time.
that those skirms are cheaper as well for Byzantines. And Siege Gem is now being teched into. Pushing Leary back here is going to be insanely hard. He's going to have 3 castles protecting this corner with Byzantines. So almost 7,000 HP on those castles. Nicov now has barracks here on the north, but doesn't have any condo production. Army numbers are equalizing, but you know it's a bad sign when Nicov has to go for Italian pikemen.
Yeah, it's kind of tricky, right? Because I think Nico was forced into building the inferior army comp, and it's kind of hard to switch out. Like, it's so much economy to switch into like full archer upgrades and like elite generous crossman. So, like, he's kind of been, especially without trade as well. Like, he's been forced to build an army comp that maybe isn't really winning. Like, ideally, Spanish, like in this situation, you want to be on something like elite generous crossman and hussar, or even cavalier if you have the gold. And then Spanish really struggle to deal with that. But like, obviously, just spamming condos into that many hussar isn't going to be that cost effective.
Yeah, 26 trade cards for Nicov, 0 for MBL. But now Hera is getting his trade up as well, and this is the moment where the Spanish trade is really going to start mattering. And for Nicov, he is currently pop capped, and so he can't go for more condos. That's also a bit of a problem for him. Landing coming in from MBL, but it's gonna get cleaned up by Siege Ram probably.
Yep, and yeah, honestly, I think yeah, I just struggle to see. I just don't really see Nicov being able to push back against Hira, and like as Hira is the one pushing, like it puts Nicov under so much pressure. Right? They already don't have a corner, and as soon as like Hira starts getting trade, it just becomes even worse, right?
Yeah, once he has the first couple of Cavalier Spadins out, these pikemen will be completely useless. Like, they can hold their own with +4/+4 against light cav, but against Spadin not so much. And look at, Hera's got how many stables? He's got 13 stables in that corner just denying the trade.
Yeah, exactly. Like ideally, I still think they could probably trade behind that castle. Like obviously it's not ideal, but I think you need to try and get some trade, right? But I guess at this point it's maybe a little bit too late. But that being said, MBL is starting to stabilize and he's starting to push back on the other side. Although there is a lot of reinforcements coming. I think all Leary needs to do is build more forward archery rangers. He's got no forward production right now.
He just needs to slow this one down, honestly. Let the Spanish trade kick in. And in the moment Hera gets heavy cavalry, he could overrun either side. And Hera's getting there, so he's got 22 trade cards.
Yeah.
He doesn't have cavalry yet, but this might be enough just to mix in a couple of cavalier to start swing the battle in your favor even more. Nicov now coming in to try and clean up those stables. They need this corner, that's their only shot.
Yeah, this is interesting though, because if MBO can push back, I mean, it's looking a little bit unlikely, but if he can, then and put pressure on some of that trade, like they can swing the game back.
Yeah, and keep in mind that the wood income isn't amazing for tempo. I mean, I said this before, they're consuming the final bits of trees left on the outside. They don't have wood income from the middle, Obviously, Hera is floating 3k, Wood, Lyra is floating 1k, so this game needs to be very long to matter, as Lyra comes in with the Redemption Monks to convert the Bombard Cannons, only converts one though for a price of 4 Monks.
Yeah, not quite worth it, but still nice idea. But those Tassars can be really annoying.
Yeah, the skirms now close the distance, so
Yeah.
most of the Bombard Cannons will go down over here. And aM.MbL, I think he has a little hill over here to hold this one. And now some condos being mixed in. I think aM.MbL might be able to hold this.
Well, aM.MbL will push this actually, but the problem is he now lost all his bomber cannons, so like he can't push as quickly anymore. Like that was a really nice move to snipe the bomber cannons, because now like despite aM.MbL actually for one of the first times in the game actually having a big military lead, he can't really do anything with it now.
Yeah. It looks like we're gonna have some orbs being mixed in on the south, which would pretty much hard counter both the condos and the pikemen from Nicov.
Yeah, that's a really nice move, and he's just set them up in the stables so like Nicov can essentially never fight.
aM.MbL has absolutely no trade, so he's gonna play full trash over here. But as I said, Wood is going to be an issue in the long run. Just look at on the far right how Lyra is chopping Wood in that corner.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, the problem is it's going to take quite a long time, and I think if they wanted to, they could, especially with the gold, just drop a castle or find some way to like deal with those cannon galleons. Like this, it's not like a huge water presence. It wouldn't be too hard to invest to try and take that back.
aM.MbL is running straight to the right-hand side corner with the skirms. Just past the castle, Lyra comes in with the quick wall, but that's gonna fail. Terra's got scouts here, or, well, hussars, so this is gonna be an easy cleanup. aM.MbL just sort of sacrifices all his skirms. I wonder if this is intentional, so that he has more population for trade.
Maybe. I don't think so. I think aM.MbL was trying to raid, and he's not actually queuing any trade cards either. So aM.MbL was,
he just dives in with a couple of skirms, tries to pick up some trade. It's actually going to do some damage and delay Hera's Cavalier switch, which is now becoming imminent.
Yeah, but I think honestly they would feel like if you're aM.MbL and you see that many trade cards, I think you feel like you're losing. Yeah. Because he only killed like 5 or 6, and he saw lots more, right?
Yeah.
So that has to be a kind of...
Even if it wasn't for the Spanish trade, 61 trade cards versus 42, now aM.MbL has no trade. And as I said, in the moment heavy cavalry arrives, it's too late. Nicov is now mixing in Genoese crossbows. But I mean, Lyra is fully teched into skirms and Hera clicks pod in here.
Yep, and that is probably how they're going to close the game. I mean, Hera doesn't have that much gold. Honestly, I think Hera... Oh, he's got a lot of army.
Look at Nicov. He's transporting condos into the base of Lyra here, but Hera's hussars should be able to match these, although...
Yeah, that's a really nice raid.
Yeah, if there is any hope for aM.MbL.Nicov, it should be condo raids like this one, because they have the water. They gotta use it for landings like this. Cav archers or something like that would be even better, but obviously that's not an option with these civs. But if they can shred the eco of Lyra and Hera here, that could cause problems for aM.MbL B.
Yeah, and they're even killing trade with it. So this is actually an amazing raid. It's such a great play from Nicov. And you're right, like all they need to do really is hold so that wood control can come in. I mean, presumably, yeah. On the other side as well, aM.MbL is managing to push. But it's all going to be down to how many paladin can Hera make, right? I think he should be able to make quite a few, and
he's already at 20. And
exactly. And yeah.
In exchange, though,
well,
Nicov doesn't have population for Genoese crossbows, so he only has 8 Gembos out. aM.MbL is once again diving in with the skirms, this time around mixing some halberdiers in as well. They just want to destroy that trade. And aM.MbL lands with barracks. This is the tricky thing here for Hera, because he needs his paladins on the field, but he is also the only player that can clean up the trade here.
Yeah, and there is a elite Genoese crossbowman in for Nicov, which is actually quite impressive. He still needs some upgrades, which he's actually getting. So if they can just hold, if Nicov can just hold the side, then it's still possible, I think, for them to stay in this game. And remember that corner is only, like, they're not actually using that corner for trade. Like that corner is only good at denying trade for their opponent, right?
Yeah. At this point, Lyra and Hera have a way better trade. So the only way that aM.MbL.Nicov will win this is if they can continuously destroy that trade, because trade is expensive. It costs you gold, and it's going to be expensive to remake it. And while Lyra is distracted, aM.MbL is actually able to push up the left side quite nicely.
Yeah, I wasn't too impressed with how aM.MbL played the early imp and the mid imp, but like he's doing the fact that he's managed to push back is is fairly miraculous. Honestly, this has been a really good like late game from aM.MbL right now. Um,
Yeah, Nicov is in trouble on the right side. He lost the castle, so yeah, Genoese crossbow production is a problem. He only has one castle to produce gembos at, and he's facing increasing amounts of Podin, and more importantly,
yeah,
orbs that can just pick off the gembos from a distance.
yeah, that is the biggest issue, isn't it? Just that the combo of our paladin is just so strong. Um, And Lyri's done a great job to build the. And now that the problem is, Hero's on the other side. Obviously, those Cavalier are super mobile, and he's going to be able to snipe those bomb cannons if aM.MbL isn't careful.
And this is where I really want to go back to these forwards from Leary that just delayed aM.MbL so much when they had the chance to push.
Yep, exactly. Yep. I think it wasn't just that; it also delayed their trade massively as well, and to the point where it actually kind of caused a snowball because you don't like it bought them so much time that it meant that like Nicov never really got to good trade when with Italians like they're one civ, especially if you get the upgrade where you can get a lot of trade cuts really quickly. Like this game, like he couldn't really get that. Even now his trade is not that efficient.
Yeah, and it's going to be just worse and worse. Although, we have to keep in mind that, like, look at Leary, he's got 47 hours, 42 skirms, he's losing a lot of eco, but he's got so much resources that he can just replace eco with army here at this point.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where you feel like killing economy is good, but actually, like, it just gives your opponent a bigger army. And it's like, it kind of makes the game a little bit more difficult. But,
Unless the game is very long, losing that eco won't hurt for Leary. Hera is floating 8,000 food behind this one, so that's pretty much an endless Hussar spam, and now Nikov's market that was already pretty inefficient is gonna get pushed.
Yep, it's only 50 gold a trip anyway, and like losing that, 40 gold a trip, sorry, just makes it much worse. Yeah, whereas on the other side, how much gold is it per trip?
It's a lot more, probably. It's
It's
114.
Yeah.
And there is also... Actually, the two teams have pretty even trade card numbers. aM.MbL has 0 trade cards, Nicov has it all, but obviously twice the efficiency for Hera and Leary here. And I just don't see aM.MbL and Nicov pushing on any side now.
Yeah, it's starting to get really tricky.
And
I
yeah, Nicov had to lead his market as well, but the trade cards are still running in there. He's losing all the trade cards. So he's gonna have to rebuild a market somewhere else, but very even is he able to do that? At this point, it's more efficient to just go trade cogs in the middle pond.
Yeah, that is one thing they could do. Oh god, that'd be funny. Yeah, honestly, I think it's just too difficult. Like this push is just too strong. Like the trebs, the orbs, the paladins, just not much Nicov and aM.MbL can really do. I mean, aM.MbL's doing a great job to hold, but like it's only for so long, right? Like,
Yeah.
Nicov is not gonna be able to hold against that many paladins and orbs.
Yeah, Nicov is slowly massing Genoese crossbows, which helps, but the orbs are still there. And I just feel like this game has to be extremely long for aM.MbL and Nicov to have any chance, really, to a point where wood control is going to be the primary thing. Because if Hera and Lyris start buying or buying wood, then aM.MbL and Nicov can sell wood to compensate for their lack of trade, and that's a lot of podding going down here for Hera.
Yeah, that's okay. It looked like a decent fight, but then just the raw strength of the paladin kind of
and the orbs behind, obviously. So
yeah,
it's Genoese crossbow plus Hussar, and every single Genoese crossbow that's lost is harder to replenish than those orbs for Leary. Oh, some condos coming in from Nicov, though, to raid Leary's wood income. Leary is actually running low on wood, and he doesn't have a huge amount of gold either.
I'm surprised, to be honest.
Maybe...
He's got a lot of food. Yeah, his eco is really bad, actually. He's got he's got 66 bills, but I guess he's got 100 bills, including the trade cards. So he's fine, actually, in terms of economy.
Yeah, he's fine for now. Looks like aM.MbL will make one big push on the left side once again, taking a lot of precious bombard cannons.
Yeah, what do you think I think Leary could honestly switch to Cataphracts right now, just end the game.
Yeah.
If he just saves some gold up, I think aM.MbL would have no answer to that.
Yeah,
But I
he's
think
got
the
no
way they're
answer.
playing is still winning, yeah.
Yeah, that should be enough. Now Hera comes in with some Hussar raids. The populations are still relatively close over here, but obviously trade efficiency is massively on the side of Hera and Lyri here.
Yeah, I think, yeah, they've just never been able to get decent trade. Just fair play to Lyri for that initial forward.
It's
And
23
from
gold per trip.
23.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
23
that's
gold per trip.
yeah, that's not quite good enough.
Oh, beautiful bombard cannon shots on the left side by Lyri. He just took down 3 bombard cannons. Something that really hurts for aM.MbL, who doesn't have any reliable gold income.
Exactly, like aM.MbL can't afford to lose those, whereas Lyri, it doesn't really matter if he loses them, but he's still winning the trades anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, Lyri's army numbers are still brutal, and as I said, in the moment he starts losing eco, he could just replace that with more army. And he needs population space because he's Byzantine, so most of his army is trash.
Yeah, he is. He's banging up a lot of gold and food, so maybe he will go for that cataphract switch. How many castles does he have? He's got 4 castles. Yeah, honestly, I don't know why he's not going for it. Like, it could make this game a lot quicker.
Yeah, he's floating 2,000 gold. That's the
Exactly,
interesting
yeah.
thing here. He's floating 2k gold and he's not using it. And now Hera's Paladins on the south are going down. Is Hera sending Paladins to the north? Because that could also help. Where are Hera's Paladins at? He's
Well,
got
I'm not
30
sure where
something.
his army is. Yeah, he's got lots in queue. Yeah, like I don't I know I'm not quite sure how Nicov is managing to push back even a little bit against this army. Kind of it's very impressive.
Yeah, they're big survivors, but as I said, Cavalier now for Nicov. It's a little bit ambitious with such an inefficient trade, but I guess they need something that deals with the Arblast or just holds them off, because they can deal with the Paladins, that's not a problem. Dealing with the Arbs is the problem on the south.
Yeah, Nicov actually has 63 trade cards. That is,
If only they had the corner, right?
exactly. Well, they're so cheap, right? So it's like you can't actually afford to get to that many. I'm not sure about the Cavalier, to be honest. I guess he just wants to spend that spare resources. But his eco again, only 63 actual villagers, so like his eco isn't amazing. So he's probably gonna struggle with the production.
Yeah. Look at how the wood is being depleted from the middle of the map at this point. And we're getting close to the stage where Hera and Lyri is going to have issues with wood, but still, I think this game needs to be at least 1.5, 2 hours long for that to matter.
Well, the thing is as well is they've actually got control of the north and the south wood as well now, just by being like forward. So I feel like they're never really gonna run out of wood. And like again, just having the gold means you can probably try and retake water anyway. It's probably not gonna be too difficult if they really focus their mind on it.
Paladin's taking a big push here on the left side. This is what they were waiting for. Oh, one trap got sniped down, so that's something there for Nico, but he needs that castle alive.
Yep.
All the Paladins are going down, though. All the Paladins went down. Nicov is out of stone. He has to buy some stone, which obviously is super expensive right now for him.
Yeah, with those orbs, they're just doing too much damage.
Nikov's got condos coming in once again into the wood eco of Lyri, but Lyri still has an insane resource bank here, and that castle falls. Only one castle remaining for Nicov. He won't really be able to produce more Genoese crossbows soon.
Yep. Yeah, I'm still surprised Lyri hasn't gone for cataphracts. I think it would just make this side so easy. Also, it would actually be fun on the other side as well, because the damage mitigation bonus that cataphracts get means that Genoese crossbowmen won't do any of their bonus damage against them.
Yeah. In fact, Arbalasts are probably better because Arbalasts would have an extra range. And now I think the final nail in the coffin will be Hera going for fast fires. If they secure the water, suddenly there is aM.Nicov who is going to starve for wood. Even without the water, I think Hera and Lyri has this. But with water, that's the final dagger, and there is the elite cataphract for Lyri. So as you said...
There we go, finally, yep. Just getting the upgrades now, and that... When those start coming in big numbers, he's already got four or five castles, I think, so... there's just nothing that aM.MbL can actually build. Like, the skirms will die, the habs will die. Yeah, there's just no answer, especially when you have no gold.
Yeah. And as I said, that forward from Leary was just so good at delaying aM.MbL and Nicov. And as you said, aM.MbL and Nicov could have had trades set up faster, which may have allowed them to just control the trade of the opponent. That single villager that snuck past. I'm not saying that won the game, but that helped immensely for
I think,
Heron
honestly, I
Leary.
think it was two things that really snowballed this game. I think the first thing was MBR. I think he made a huge mistake going for condos early, and I think they essentially achieved nothing. And all that happened was he lost momentum for like literally 10 or 15 to 20 minutes. Whereas if he maybe had opened Skirm, I don't know what the better opening would have been. Honestly, I think it's very tricky to be in that situation. But if he just opened Skirm Arb, like he might have been in a much better position to just hold, keep that corner, and then like
Or
if you do get Nicov to the trade right, he can push against Hero.
or maybe War Wagon Onager might have been a reasonable idea.
Yeah, I don't think. I think because he used all that stone on those towers, I don't think he could have afforded war wagons for that reason. But if he did have the stone for like 3 castles, that could have been also a good play. Yeah.
Yeah. From this point on now, Heron and Lear are constantly pop capped, whereas aM.MbL and Nicov are dropping in population. When at last castle force for Nicov, they have absolutely no tools of stopping the Paladins on the south.
Yep. And the cataphract's gonna come in soon.
Yeah.
MBL is pushing, but not for long. You know, as
I
soon
love
as
how Lear
possibility
is hiding the
comes up.
cataphracts. He's not showing them just yet. He wants to make one big push, take down all those expensive bombard cannons. And here they come. I'm not sure if they have Logistica, but they have everything else.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they have Logistica, but against full trash, I mean, obviously it'd be really helpful to have Logistica, but
Yeah.
yeah.
There is nothing that can actually hold that. At least from aM.MbL. There's also skirmishers behind. This is where aM.MbL's army is going to collapse, and you see the numbers are
Yeah.
dropping really badly here for aM.MbL and Nicov.
Cataphracts, yeah, ridiculous.
They
That should be GG.
Yeah, that should be it. Double the army now, 100 population deficit. As I said, Hera just needs a couple of those Spanish cannon galleons to just devastate aM.MbL's base, or just a couple of galleons to destroy that wood income. There is the elite cannon galleon from Hera.
Yep, really nice play from Hero and Leary to finish up the game, and yeah, the GG score.
Well, great game. Part of this was a bit of a civ win with the Spanish, but part of this was, first of all, the crazy hold on the south by Hera, the distraction by Leary, and as you said, the double condo play didn't work out for aM.MbL and Nicov either.
Yeah, I honestly I disagree. I don't think it's a civ win. I really don't. I think we saw like in early imp how strong like those condos were against Spanish. Like if Nikov had the trade follow up to get to like elite generous crossbowmen a little bit earlier with like a decent eco, then honestly I think they had room there to win that game. It was just that collapse in the north, and obviously Lyria is really nice forward base.
And the reason why this hurts particularly for aM.MbL and Nicov is because we discussed that after winning Arabia, all they have to do is just win their own home map. And guess what? Now that's not happening. So they are in a bit of a trouble here because they'll have to take a home map from Heron Leary to win this set, which is on River Belt, I believe.
Yes, yeah, and that will be difficult considering how strong Hera and Lyria are on those open maps. Um,
So the weird thing after these super long and grindy games is just going back to those humble beginnings, sort of,
yeah, yeah,
uh, in
absolutely.
in feudal age. That's even more brutal for RM because here at least you have some action at the beginning. But if you play this in random map, you have epic battles, a lot of combat all around, and then suddenly you go back and okay, it's Dark Age and you have Frey villagers.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, to be fair, it can be nice sometimes to have a break of the really like late game. It's a lot of focus and a lot of attention. So like I think in a long Empire Wars game, like you need probably like a minute or two break just to mentally recover.
Alright, I am in game number
Yeah,
4, so whenever you're ready, we can go for Kawasan.
just count me down and I'm ready.
Alright, 3, 2, 1, and go! Alright, so welcome everybody to Kawasan, the second home map of aM.MbL and Nicov. They need to win this one to have a shot at sort of upsetting Hera and Leary here. We will have Lyria's Portuguese in green on the right, Burgundians for Hera in blue, a bit of a surprise, versus Malay from Nicov in yellow, and Berbers as aM.MbL.
Yeah, it's super interesting to see Burgundians here. I'm not sure what the idea is. Maybe fast Gillnets if possible, if you can get a dock nice and fast. Oh, it seems like Hero's going for the forward dock rather than
Oh,
the
this
back
could
dock.
be intercepted by Nicov, and he finds it. He
Oh,
finds that
that's
villager.
perfect.
That's so important. In exchange, Hera might find the berry villager at Nikov's base, but this is so good for Nicov here. He's gonna lose his scout, I believe. Oh yeah, that was still fine,
Yep.
delaying the dock. I think here Burgundy is a bit like your budget Berbers, sort of, because
Yeah.
Berbers will probably try to play triple stable knights here. And Burgundians, they can't match the production, so they want to have just better quality. And they can achieve that with the Cavalier.
Yeah, definitely. I think I just they're quite a slow serve. So here it is going for the back dock now. I find that interesting. Um, so yeah, I guess it just depends on how much economy you can get in time. I think Berbers is probably a little bit better in Castle Age.
It is
Um,
probably
just because
better.
you can, yeah,
Especially
get
considering that Hero has not a single eco upgrade. He's going very heavy on scouts here, which is somewhat unconventional because they don't have bloodlines, but he just wants to keep those walls open. And especially Nikov's base is particularly open for raiding with scouts.
yeah. Nico basically hasn't attempted to wall at all. He's just built a tower and kind of left it at that. He's now walling a little bit.
And aM.MbL is
Um,
getting double teamed really heavily here. Archers coming in from the north from Leary all the way around. So looks like aM.MbL will be fine, but he definitely suffers a setback, so it's gonna be in the hands of Nicov to do a bit of a carrying over here. But with the power spike of Malay, that might be possible.
I'm just trying to find where is Nico's army. I just think this keeps happening. Like ideally, what should be happening is when like Nico should be confident enough to move out and attack Hera, right? I think the problem is like Nico is being too passive in the early game, and we're just seeing Hera and Leary just double aM.BL. Like what Nico really should be doing is moving out with two archers and two spearmen and just harassing Hera, right? Like forcing Hera to stay back, but like Hera's under no pressure, so like he can just send all of his units to aM.BL, and already at this point, like they've done a lot of damage to aM.BL. You know, like this is a big setback.
It is. It is a massive setback. aM.BL is still off from gold. Nikov getting close to Castle Age over here, but aM.BL, he had to just make a lot of scouts as well. Maybe aM.BL didn't even want to make this many scouts. And behind this one, there is Boso coming in for Hera. Scale barding even for aM.BL, something that he probably didn't want to research before going up to Castle here.
Well, yeah, maybe not, but yeah, it's tricky, right? I think they just have to try and retake the map control. I think okay, they are at least doing a decent job of that now.
And now we have to consider that Hera invested a lot into his scouts, and, well, they did some damage to aM.BL, but they didn't actually kill a lot of villagers, so Hera also spent a lot of food on that. And for
I mean,
aM.BL,
yeah,
what is he doing with
yeah,
all those villagers? Oh my goodness, look at
walling.
that gold mine.
Oh my god, he's going for that one. Wow. I mean, at least Berbervilles do walk faster. It's quicker to get there.
Yeah, and
But
one thing is sure, Lyria and Hera won't be raiding him there because no one on this planet would ever imagine you mining gold there in Castle Age. Nicov,
yeah, exactly.
with the Malay power
Um,
spike, he's up already. Lyria is still 1 minute away, but as you said, Nikov's army sort of had to chase Lyria here, so Nikov's army isn't in position to attack immediately.
yeah, and the problem now is that Hero has clicked Castle Age, and aM.BL hasn't
Nice.
clicked yet.
Well, he's
Uh,
close,
he's relatively close. Yeah, that's true.
so that's fine. Although aM.BL doesn't have a single eco upgrade, so that's something that's worth considering. Ecos are slightly better for Hera and Lyri, but in exchange, Lyri's base is wide open. So those scouts could cause some problems, or alternatively, they could just go and deny the gold income for Hera.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't see. There's one back gold for Hero. I don't know if he scouted it, but it's quite far at the back. So that could be a real pain for Hero. He's got to wait till Castle Age, and he's gonna have to be bailed out by Leary. But I think when Leary does get Castle Age, I think they can hold Hero's gold.
Yeah, they should
Um,
be able to. Nikov's crossbows are coming in to reinforce. They're trying to take some shots before crossbows would come in for Leary, and aM.BL scouts are just here to divert the arrow fire. Gilnet's on the way for Leary as well as crossbowmen are in as well. And as you said, the gold income of Hera should now be safe. 16 crossbows versus only 11.
Yeah, I think Nicov just struggled with production a little bit. He went for a really fast cast stage time, but hasn't really achieved a whole lot with it. Um, not really able to get any damage on Hera, and obviously that cast stage time was at the expense of MBL. So really, he needed to do some kind of counter damage.
Yeah, let's see. Castle H coming in here for Hera. He's going to try playing triple stables, which might feel a little ambitious. Especially because he only has 5 on gold right now. He needs to get Cavalier as well. Something that he just now clicked. But maybe
Yeah,
Berber's
yeah.
magic with the Night Flood can turn this around. They really need that Berber's magic here for MBL.
They do. I'm struggling to see. Does MBO have any eco upgrades now? Is he?
He does have Horse Color and Double Bit Axe, but he's about to lose a couple of villagers on his wood line, and he just replaced his Palisade with a Palisade Gate, making his base a lot weaker.
Yeah, and those crossbows are going to be a nightmare to deal with. I just think MBL is already so far set back that it's going to be really hard, despite even being Berbers, to compete with the knight numbers. But we'll see.
Uh, these knights pop out. He's gotta be careful. I think the best thing he can do is try to surround that army and take it down. Nicov is going to the middle here for the berries, as he does have ballistics now. Looks like they just want to clean up Leary's crossbow blob over here, but that just allows Hera to get Cavalier and just start massing them like crazy.
Exactly, and yeah, again, it's just being so reactive, right? This should be a really nice cleanup. Though. Oh, Lyra doesn't even notice.
Yeah.
So this is a really nice cleanup. Maybe they can start something on the back of this.
Yeah, that's actually a beautiful cleanup, despite the fact that MBL doesn't have +2 defense. And considering that Leary is still open, you could use the mobility of that cavalry to get some raiding damage in.
Yeah, and I guess this starts becoming more possible now. Like all you need is that one snowball really, and then at least MBL is Berbers, right? So he can just go 1 TC all in, and it doesn't really matter that he was so far back economically. I mean, obviously, like they need to end the game relatively quickly for that to work, but it's still
Yeah.
possible. There's still potential there.
MBL should go triple stable 1 TC all in though. And just let Nicov use his power spike, because that's what really you get with Melee.
Yeah. Well,
Just
that's what he's doing. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
click into Imperial, you're exposed to your opponent a little bit, but not as much as you would be at other civs, and then Melee Arbalasts here would shred everything. Knights are now coming towards Hera
That
though.
being said, sorry to interrupt you, but Leary has just clicked Imperial Age himself. So,
Oh my
and
god.
look, yeah, yeah.
How? He did have a lot
It's-
of fishing eco, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
But that's
Yeah, it's just-
brutal.
Yep.
That's a
And,
brutal play
yeah.
from Leary.
And again, like with Leary with Arbs that early is going to be really difficult to deal with. They need to jump on that army as
yeah.
quickly as possible, but it's so hard to know that Leary's clicking him.
Yeah, it's probably like no one would probably expect it. 60 vills, so it's technically plausible. This is the domain where you pretty much call this a fast imp, and Leary doesn't have ballistics here, so he might end up losing his numbers here just before imp.
Yeah, and that.
This is actually better for Heron or for aM.Nicov, to be honest.
Yeah, because the thing is, like this imp timing is good, but it's so committed, right? Like he's not got anything else behind this, and when those fish run out as well, his eco is not going to be amazing.
Yeah, he's down to 9 crossbows, and sure enough, Nicov also lost his crossbows, but at this point, trading those crossbows is perfectly fine, and Hera is struggling for gold. You see the ping on the right side, Leary telling him there is a gold there, so Hera has problems protecting that gold mine over there. Second TC coming in here for MBL though. Nicov still needs to find a way into Imperial, but if Leary just gets raided like this one, his eco is gonna fall apart. He won't be able to mass a lot of orbs.
Yeah, and the problem is being raided on your wood as well when your fish is running out means that all of those fishing boats will become essentially useless, right?
Yeah.
Because he won't be able to build fish traps. So like that's another 10 redundant villages.
He's about to lose some of his crossbows in the middle, and now MBL's mixing in some camels because he realizes that there is not a lot of archers on the field. And while those camels don't perform particularly good against the archers, they can hold off the cavalier for some time. And the thing is that the beauty of Melee is that you can catch up to Imperial Age really easily if you get beaten.
Yeah, exactly. You can just click imp, and it's so quick to actually get to the Imperial Age that they're still trying. I just think Hero has done a really good job with the engagements he's been taking. So like his number of cavalier is actually really high. And what that kind of means is that he can always take like providing he has his army together, like he's always going to take a good fight just because of the nature of like engagements. The problem is MBL really needs to get a big enough mass to be able to compete. Uh, One thing I want to know is where have Nikov's crossbows gone? Like I just
They got pretty much cleaned up by the Cavalier. He's waiting for the chance to remess them, but now it's ARPs for Leary. He doesn't have a lot, but guess what? That's enough to push into the base of MBL, at least for a moment. Leary does have a Spearman that's just chilling on the gold mine of MBL. And currently it's 21 Cavalier versus only 5 Knights from MBL. That's the problem that aM.Nicov are facing. It's mostly
yeah
camos, but ARBs will
yeah.
just chew through those camos like butter.
Oh yeah, those orbs are gonna be so effective against those camels.
Arbalest is coming in here for Nicov, but despite the fact he has a decisive eco lead, his ARB numbers are going to be much, much weaker right now. As I said, Fishing Eco is running out in a couple of moments for Leary here, though, so Leary can't really sustain this one for long.
Yeah, I mean the eco. I mean MBO and Nico have actually had economically.
Yeah, they are.
Surprisingly enough.
Although that
But
will soon change with those villagers
yeah,
potentially getting massacred.
well,
Although the
they are.
Cavalier don't really care, and aM.MbL could easily jump on those ARPs here, especially if Nikov's ARPs arrive, so... And
Yeah, I think he's just waiting for the support. Hera is going completely all in, by the way. Oh, but there's such a nice raid on Nico's base by Hera. That's
yeah,
gonna
that's
be so hard to
beautiful.
deal with. Yeah.
And really, at this point, the lack of mobility is hurting aM.Nicov here. They just don't have the ARPs to keep
Yep.
track of all those Cavalier, and Nicov wasn't really walled for the majority of the time, so he's got 25 idols now. He should be able to clean this one up, though, and it's not going to be cost efficient for Hera, though. That's something that we need to consider. That this Cavalier will go down quite easily. And when the
Yeah,
dust settles...
I don't. It's still. I think it's so hard. This is so tricky because I think Hera and Larry are still in a better spot. Yeah, yeah. If you look at the amount of ARB numbers for Larry,
Yeah.
like it doesn't really matter that he has no economy just because of how cheap they are, right? So we can just always get those numbers rolling. And Nikov is just doesn't have enough military right now.
Yeah, that's the problem that they're facing. And Nicov will lose his TC in the middle, which means that he's going to lose like 15 vills here. His eco is still gonna be better than Leary's one, but as you said, where are the Arbalests? They're just nowhere. Nicov doesn't have wood income here. That's actually good.
Yeah, he's got
And
he's building a TC on wood now, but yeah. I just think the approach that Hera and Larry had of kind of just going like all in one TC. I think maybe Larry's time was a bit ambitious, but it kind of managed to work out in the end, right?
yeah, I think part of this is aM.MbL taking that damage in feudal.
Yeah, yeah.
And he just was never able to match the cavalry numbers of Hera. Hera has 31 cavalry, aM.MbL has 15 knights. I can maybe see this one working for aM.MbL if those cavalry hit probably Leary now. It could also work with Hera's eco, but they need to destroy a lot of eco now.
Yeah, I think that's kind of exactly right. It just kind of felt like from that Atacama game, they've kind of noticed the weakness of Nico being a little bit too passive in Feudal Age, and they've really punished it by doubling MBL in these really open games.
Yeah, and now that's not the fight that you want for aM.MbL's knights there. He's up against orbs that do have chemistry and +4 defense in a choke point. He needs to use that mobility really well, just like Hera is using.
Oh, and yeah, huge raid from here with the Cavalier and MBL's base. I just don't see how they're gonna hold that, especially with no military.
That's exactly what aM.MbL did in the Arabia game with Bulgarians. Just dive in with a bunch of cavalry and just destroy the opponent's eco.
Yep.
And with the Arbalest support, the Camels won't be able to do much. aM.MbL's eco is gonna fall apart, and Nicov doesn't really have the numbers to win this alone.
Yep, Nikov, yeah. I mean, I think Leary even has more ARB numbers than him, right?
Yeah.
Look at the...
aM.MbL is down to 67 villagers, less than Leary. And Nicov is trying to help, but he just can't catch up with the mobility of those Cavalier, and by the time he arrives, aM.MbL's eco is going to be dead.
Yeah, yeah, I think there's not a whole lot MBL can do right now. Obviously, they're going to keep playing because this is their tournament life on the line. But yeah, just a pretty dominant victory from from Leary and Hero here.
Yeah, they were the favorites of this tournament, and we see why. And even if Hera and Lear, or even if aM.Nicov find a way to somehow win this, they would have to go to the home map of the opponents. But it very much seems like now the ecos are even, but the key thing is that the cavalry player has a much better economy, so they will have the advantage of mobility.
Yeah, exactly. I think. Well, I guess Nicov does have 100 villagers, yeah. But again, what are 100 villagers gonna give you if you don't really have that army mass?
Yeah, and aM.Bl
And yeah,
calls it.
GG's good. Yeah.
Wishing good luck next to their teammates, actually, as after that Arabia defeat, Hera and Leary come back strong and take down aM.Bl and Nicov here. A wonderful set, I have to say. It was very, very back and forth. But in the end, we see why Hera and Leary are still the favorites to win this tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. Fair play to Nicov and aM.Bl. They took some games close. I definitely feel like they could have taken that first pawn game. But yeah, it just Hero and Leary are just so good fundamentally that um, it's very hard to win a series against them, and especially Empire Wars. I think that skill gap on Empire Wars is a little bit higher. Um, yeah, definitely a great series.
All right. So Hera and Leary are in the semifinals over here. Do you feel like there's any team that can actually challenge them?
Uh, it's hard to say because of how volatile Age can be, but I think they are the clear favorites. Um, maybe if they have a bad day, but without Game Legion having Vipers, or I don't know if he's actually going to play in the later rounds.
Nope, he
Um,
won't.
without Game Legion having Viper, I think it will be tricky. Um, so yeah, I think they should be the clear favorites, but you never know, Suomi are great as well. Like there are so many good teams that on their day could upset them.